Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. Yes, we're here. Yes, we're here live in the ECSI studio in Centerville, Mass, 1480 Old Falmouth Road. Didn't need my Honda Pilot today, just took Noah's Ark. But we survived. We're going to be a tough afternoon with high winds, rain. Got a couple inches here. But we're here, and it's our weekly trip over the bridge to Boston with Content King, sports wagering expert, the one and only Julian Edlow from DraftKings, where we're going to talk about the launch. We're going to talk about the opening weekend. I can personally say of all the apps that have launched, there were 7 of them. Hats off to DraftKings. I think they have the most to offer. I really enjoyed the $8 $25 free swings and anything. There were no stipulations. There was no fine print. Hats off to them, and I'm excited for them moving forward. So enough from me. Let's get it from a DK employee, the one and only Mr. Julian Edlow.
I thought the weekend went well. Friday was smooth, good launch. It was fun. People seem to be having fun with it, seem to be getting good feedback, enjoying the book, enjoying the promos, enjoying the boosts. So yeah, all is well. Hopefully some people made money on it. Like I tweeted out, like there's different boosts and promos you can use. Some, it's gambling, some more risky than others. Always make sure you're taking those free, not free, those bonus bets offered, like will the Celtics make a 3-pointer tonight? Will the Celtics score a point tonight? Because those ones are $50 in your account as soon as those things happen. So every day, click on that little rewards tab, see what pops up, and hopefully some people made some money on their free bets that they got.
For the most part, I keep my eyes open. We had Bill Spiros on Wednesday. I was a co-host with Anthony Friday night and last night on Sports Map Radio, the Diehards. Of course, these launches, 7 in all, there's going to be hiccups, people having a hard time deposit, people yelling, screaming, whining about this, and this. For the most part, I thought what I've seen and heard, smooth sailing on your end. And you know what? I don't want to say best man standing, because for a long time, it looked like a 2-horse race. And I think there's enough money to be spread around for everyone here. Is this the long-term approach, what, you guys have seen for light years back?
Explain that to me in another way. What do you mean is what we've seen for light years back?
In other words, listen, when you guys came onto the scene, it was fantasy, it was dailies, it was that, but the long-term approach was always going to be the sports book end. And it took a long time. Listen, we've been on the public scene since January 1st, 2015. 8+ years. You guys have been on the scene longer than that. Obviously, the fact is you set the standards when it came to the fantasy, the daily fantasy, but the long-term approach was always going to be the sports book end.
Yeah, I can't totally speak to the plan on, how much focus is going to go on sportsbook versus DFS. I can tell you that DFS certainly isn't going on the back burner or anything just because of the sports book. The sports book has been around since 2018. And Massachusetts is an important state to us, but it's also just another state launch. So DFS remains extremely important. It's kind of the backbone on what the company was established on. So while my job has shifted more to the sportsbook side of things, there's plenty of other writers that we have that are and on-air people that are going to remain fantasy focused. So I don't want to totally get away from DFS. I personally have, because as an employee of DraftKings, I cannot play DFS on any platform, whereas I can bet on sports. But yeah, I think sports betting, the appeal of it is that you can just, what you like, and you can take your money out and bet on a game, even if you're a casual bettor, versus the time and research it takes into building a full lineup on an NFL Sunday or whatever. So there's definitely some advantages to that, and people like getting the free bets and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, DraftKings is going to be DraftKings. It's going to be DFS. It's going to be sportsbook. We got the marketplace going there, all types of stuff that I don't understand. But in terms of the sports side of things, we'll remain involved on both sides.
Before we transition, Julian, can you give any words of wisdom to the newbies out there that have waited for a day but are kind of green or raw in these lanes?
The obvious stuff, don't bet above your means. Don't bet on too many things. Choose your spots. And again, what I said off the top, like, nothing better if you're a casual $25 bettor or whatever. Like, there is nothing better than hitting the rewards tab on DraftKings Sportsbook every day. You're going to find bets there. We had the other night, will the Celtics score? I forget if it was score a point or hit a 3-pointer. 1 point. There you go. $50 at even money. There's a free 2 units after the Celtics score a point into your account. You have to risk 50 to get 50. So I want to be careful with the term free, but the Celtics are going to score a point and you're going to win $50. And now you've got 2 units to help yourself learn with. Again, if you still have free bets sitting around in your account, the $25 free bets, whether it's 8 or 4 of them, try and use, like, if you like a March Madness long shot, use the risk-free bet on that so you don't lose an actual $25. Use your real money on, your minus 110 side or whatever that is more of a coin flip versus your long shot. And do your research. If you're new to it, getting into it, look at our splits for DK Sportsbook, which are on VSiN. Read some articles, get some intel before making your decisions.
Before we dig into March Madness, we actually, if I'm correct, have today's Tuesday, right? So we should have a play-in game tonight, Tuesday and Wednesday. Breaking local news. I have said this all along. It's kind of unfair for stars, and they weren't stars when they were drafted, but good soldiers or patriots that play out their rookie contract, and then they go in front of Bill, they go in front of Bob, and they basically get praised. Julian, you're the patriot we've always wanted. We can't thank you enough. Now, just moving forward, here's what we have slotted for you. We know you can go outside to free agency and make that time plus an extra couple mil per. Perfect example of what transpired today. Good wide receiver, probably their best with Jacoby Myers. I was thinking and hearing Christian Kirk money, and it came well short of Christian Kirk. 3 years, I think 33, 20 of it guaranteed, going back with Josh McDaniel. Thoughts on that?
So not totally surprised. I didn't know if they would pay up or not. Obviously, the contract wound up being pretty cheap to go play for Josh McDaniels and Jimmy G in Vegas. Would have liked to see the Patriots match it, but like I've said on this show before, Myers was getting his, and Kendrick Bourne was not even a piece of that offense because of whatever his issues were with Matt Patricia last year. Bill O'Brien is going to insert Bourne into the offense to be a big piece of it right away. He might be your best receiver. So now with Bourne there to kind of fill some of that, and that money that they could have used on Myers open, I would be disappointed if they didn't make a big move, a Hopkins type of move, to get a legit wide receiver one to see if this is gonna work. And that would kind of change the Patriots' whole perception of their offense around. They're still one big piece short. And hopefully in letting a guy like Myers go, it's because they want to make that bigger move. But obviously not getting my hopes up. They could always try and dink and dunk and put this thing together with mediocre contracts.
With the potential of Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets, that's what seems to be what's happening. On my way in on Noah's Ark this morning, I heard there might be some stipulations. He wants to bring Cobb and Lazard over, and I heard that they were in works of trying to sign. The Jets were signing Lazard. So when you look at the Bills, you look at the Jets potentially with Aaron Rodgers. You look at the Dolphins. They bring Jalen Ramsey over. Tua, they picked up his 5th year. You and I in August, I had the Pats finishing 4th last year at plus 1,400 with the slot. If Aaron does go to the Jets right now, March 14th, do you have the Pats 4th in this division?
If Rodgers goes to the Jets, absolutely. And I'm kind of down on Aaron Rodgers overall. I think he's on, the far tail end, obviously, of his career, and we're going to see some drop off in play. But the Jets do have a good defense, and they do have pieces on offense. Like, they have to be better than Brady's 8-9 Bucks last year, or whatever it was, 9-8, whatever they wound up being. I think they would be better than that. So Dolphins and Jets right there behind the Bills. Dolphins have a quarterback situation. Like, Tua still needs to be available to be on the field. But they have the weapons offensively, and then they just got to go with Xavier Howard. They get Ramsey at corner. Like, they're going to be ready at corner to play against Josh Allen and Steph Diggs, and Aaron Rodgers and his group of receivers. So, like, Miami should be pretty good. I think the Patriots would be clear-cut the 4th team in the AFC East. Win total sitting at 7.5, I think it is, on the Pats. So, all I'll say about the Rodgers news is, like, what do you think that win total would be, Jeff? Could it be?
Well, my question to you is, what do you know what the Bills win total is? Was it 11.5?
Last year it was 11.5. Let me see. I probably would want to play an under on an Aaron Rodgers Jets in terms of win totals. And we don't have them up at the moment. The Jets the Jets at like a 10.5 with Rodgers would feel like an under to me.
I figure I would feel that going on last year's numbers, and just off the top of my head, I still think you got to put Buffalo at that 11.5. And I think a lot of people will be playing the under, the ones that got bit and drank the Kool-Aid last year. So they set them at 11.5, and I think they'll set the Jets at one game behind that at 10.5. Now, they could get cute and let the market dictate. They could put it at a flat 10 and see which way the market dictates it. But I think they'd be them and the Dolphins will be one game behind Buffalo.
Yeah, that feels about right, which if you've got, Miami, I feel like would maybe be 9.5 in that situation. I don't know if you can have 3 double-digit win totals in a division. And if that's the case, then that other team, which in this case happens to be the Patriots, has to be an under, because you're going to be losing to all these double-digit win teams. But yeah, the Patriots are working from behind right now to keep up with the division, clearly.
Duck boats, parade routes, dates, Bruins, Celtics. That's all I heard for months upon months. Both teams, the cream of the crop, both teams have now hit the wall. You and I talk a lot about the Celtics. Obviously, you're a season ticket holder. For outsiders looking in, a real blow with Damian Stoudemire getting the job at Georgia Tech. God bless. Great job there. I love the kid. I think he's going to do wonders there. We've been trying to get Kenny Anderson on forever. Maybe this might be our pushing point now. But give us the temperature on the Celtics. I mean, 14.5-point favorites last night in Houston. Jaylen Brown's plays his you-know-what off. Tatum misses a layup for the tie in OT. Give us your Celtic temperature and thoughts.
Yeah, another one of the worst losses of the season. They've had a handful of them lately. I don't care too much about the Damon Stoudemire news. I like Stoudemire. He's a good coach. Wish him good luck, but your assistant coach shouldn't have an impact on your ability to make an NBA Finals run. So in the long haul, meaningless is maybe an exaggeration, but not impactful. So this team needs to figure it out. They started, it's almost the inverse of last season. They started too hot, and now they can't get it together. Last year, they could not get it together, sitting at the 11 seed in January or whatever it was, and then found it. So what they're going to need to do is something that they did last year, is find it out of one of these slumps. Difference is they started in that slump last year and found it at the right time down the stretch. And now they're going to have to do it the other way. They're going to have to go from red hot to ice cold to finding it in the next month, which the playoffs start in 1 month. And hopefully not too late for the purpose of seeding. So I don't necessarily know how they do it, but they're capable of doing it. So whatever buttons they need to push, and the difference is that Ime Udoka was there to push those buttons last year, and he's not this year. It's a 34-year-old kid, maybe he turned 35 now, trying to figure that out. So hopefully the players that have now been there can play a role in turning this around. But yeah, there's nothing complicated about it from a what needs to happen standpoint. They need to get back to playing the basketball that they played down the stretch from February of last year all the way through, February of this year, really 1 full calendar year. They need to get that back.
As a season ticket holder, obviously you want 1, 2, 5, and 7 in your house. I mean, especially if you're not going to be at a game, wink, wink, and looking to flip the market there. Do it now with the little bumps in the road, Milwaukee ahead of them. Do you now concentrate on a full court press, trying to get that number 1 back, or is this just because you're right? Listen, this team was favored 2-1 at home. Game 4 against Golden State, and we know what happened there. They have the same core. They have the same team. The head coach is different. But what do you think, Julian, moving forward? Because it's obviously, you can't lose last night. It happens. We know it happens. But as you said, you really want to be playing some good ball coming down the stretch like you were last year. So now does that number 1 spot really become a focus point?
I don't think you can let it, which is tough to say because they were in the driver's seat all year to be the top seed. It's a big letdown for them not to get it, but they didn't need it last year. I know we're talking about Game 7 against Milwaukee, but they completely crapped the bed in a Game 6 Friday night Memorial Weekend at home in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat. I was there, hanging out in a box, ready to have a great night. And there they go back to Miami and have to win a Game 7 on the road. They dominated that game for 46 minutes in Miami and then did what they've been doing in these games. They let go of the rope, and Jimmy Butler had a 3 in the air to win that game. But they give him credit for the 46 minutes that they did dominate, and it was enough to win the game. So I think they didn't need it last year. And they also won that backs against the wall Game 6 in Milwaukee after they, again, 13-point lead at home in Game 5 against the Bucks. Blow it. Backs against the wall. You got to go to Milwaukee and win it. And they did. So they can win on the road with their backs against the wall. Now, I certainly want the 1 seed, but it seems like they're going to need to rest some guys and focus more on that as well as just finding their groove, and just be more ready for the playoffs than focus on seeding, to be honest.
March Madness, it's here. It's funny. Before the show started, I literally all at once got like 6 or 7 DMs, texts. Hey, how's your bracket looking? Hey, is this team good? That team good? I filled out a couple. Here at ECSI, the VIPs, we got some good numbers earlier in the year on the Houstons, on the UCLAs, on the UConns. Houston loses. Well, their best scorer is hurt. I don't know if he'll be ready for the weekend. UCLA loses one of their defensive stars. How's your bracket looking? And give me the Julian. I don't know what you're thinking leading up to Thursday.
Yeah, it's pretty open. I'm not loving my bracket. I wouldn't like bet too many futures on my final four. But I like some of the matchups. I like one of the things that books like DraftKings, you're talking up the menu, Jeff. One of the things that I love that we offer and get out right away are those Sweet 16, Elite 8 props. Like, I'm more confident in a lot of those than taking big hacks at who's going to win it all and who's going to make the Final Four. Your UConn team, Jeff, minus 115 to make the Sweet 16 is one of my favorite March Madness plays. They're playing in Albany. I know Iona's a local team, and I know people they got bet down from whatever it was, 11 to it touched even 8.5 at times. I think we're back at 9.5. I understand taking the points. I think UConn should handle that game, even if they don't cover. And then you're playing in Albany against a VCU St. Mary's winner. VCU happens to be one of my favorite first-round plays. But either way, I think UConn's in a great spot in that game. So they're in a very tough bracket. They draw Kansas, UCLA, Gonzaga. They're in the toughest bracket by far. I don't want to say what's going to happen from there, but I'm very confident betting UConn to reach the Sweet 16 at a good price of minus 115. So those are the type of things I'm looking at. I'm not going to come give you any 30-1 on here because I'm not confident in any. Here you go. Here's a dark horse. If I'm doing one dark horse, I really like, and this is a team I would not have said this about a week ago. I really like where Memphis is at. They play Houston down to the wire last regular season game. They come back and beat Houston, albeit without their best player, dominate Houston in the conference championship game. They have good guard play, and they have size. FAU is a good team, but they're coming from you think the AAC is a small conference. They're coming from a small conference and going to play a big physical team. I like Memphis as the short favorite in that game. And then I think I've been talking about fading Purdue all along. I think they get Purdue. I was thinking a team that I was really high on would come along and get Purdue. But once I saw the bracket, just the spot Memphis is in, you got to beat FAU. I give them a good shot against Purdue. And then that's Sweet 16 right there. That's plus 400 on DK Sportsbook. Elite 8 is plus 850. Like, that next game could be a Duke Tennessee winner if it's even there. I have Oral Roberts there in my bracket, so they could get Oral Roberts. I think that Memphis, decent position as an 8 seed to go on a little Sweet 16 Elite 8.
Funny story. I think it was 6 years ago now. Myself and a good friend were at the regionals in Providence, and for both sets on the weekend, the Dukes of the world was there. That's when Baylor was phenomenal. Yale, Wichita State, Miami, and then the year prior to that, when Georgetown was a huge favorite. And they got picked off by Ohio. And the reason I'm talking about this, St. Mary's was there, and that was their dream run with the Sandman. And they won both of the games. And then they got, they were the talk of the first weekend. And it was just amazing to watch them. And then they get blown out, I think, in the third game. But I'm hoping your VCU team wins. First of all, it's kind of comical. Of course, they put Rick Pitino against UConn and Hurley. And Rick Pitino, as I've been saying to everyone, will be the next head coach of St. John's if he wants that job. It's there for him after this season. But if Hurley ever lost to Pitino, it will be the longest offseason in his life. But then for the UConn Blue Nation that knows nothing about any of these other teams, if they were to play a St. Mary's or a VCU, they're going to think it's a cakewalk. And I bet you they'll be 4.5, only 5-point favorites over either one of those two.
Yeah, they would have to be a bigger favorite over VCU. I don't see it with St. Mary's personally. I know the numbers like them, the analytics. They're a defensive team. I don't know. Like I kept saying going into that West Coast Conference, like my biggest bet of the college basketball season was Gonzaga there. Gonzaga had dominated 75 plus of 85 minutes going against them going into that game, and then they dominated another 40. UConn's a top 25 team in terms of offensive and defensive adjusted efficiency. I don't think St. Mary's can keep up with that. They can defend like that, but they can't score like that. So I really like VCU. I took them with the points and the money line against St. Mary's. I'll keep going against St. Mary's, but if we get that UConn St. Mary's game, I don't want to say I'll be adding to it because one of my biggest tournament bets so far is UConn to make the Sweet 16. So I'll probably just keep my good number. But I'll be pretty happy with the situation other than losing my VCU bet, I guess, if it meant St. Mary's was there.
You know, it's
just
funny.
Give me UConn over VCU in the second round, and I'm off to a good start to the tournament.
You know, you talked about the West, and some people actually complained that Kansas should have gotten the South. They should have been able to basically stay home for the would have been the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 or something like that. They would have been playing in Kansas City. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
But out West, once UCLA lost to Arizona, they were going to give Purdue the number one anyways. So at least they served them justice, left them out West. You talked about the Zags. You talked about UConn. This could be the year of the Zag, meaning it's the first year in a long, long time, Julian. No one's out there, pumping up the Zags. They're kind of flying under that radar.
They are. And here they are with a 3 seed. They only lost 5 games. Like their losses were, they had the St. Mary's one on the road that they almost won and then lost in overtime. They completely slip up at home to Marymount. And then their other losses were a Baylor game. They lost at Texas. And I'm blanking on the other. There's one other in there, but they beat Alabama in the state of Alabama. They've got they can play. It's the defense that's the issue. They rank low on defense. They have an elite offense, and so for me, I like where Gonzaga's at. I think they can definitely make a run, but they happen to be in that UConn bracket where there's 4 national contenders in that bottom right of your bracket. I believe Kansas, UCLA, Gonzaga, and UConn are all very capable of going to the Final Four and playing Houston or Texas very tough. So I don't like their draw, but I like where they're at right now. They're another team for me. They're massive, minus 2,000 favorites in the first round, and then they're going to get a Texas A&M Penn State winner. I bet them at minus 130 to make the Sweet 16. Numbers higher now on DraftKings, I think 150. I'm going to have that out in an article today. But Gonzaga Sweet 16 is another one that I like quite a bit.
You talked about Purdue. I haven't been able to wrap my head around Purdue or Kansas. I've really liked Houston and UCLA all year. So that means, Final Four, Houston and UCLA will be gone, and there's Kansas and Purdue with 2 other teams comically. Can you just give us any insight and your thoughts, maybe if you have any action on Kansas? I know they're the defending champs. Bill Self goes into the hospital, gets a couple stints. Supposedly he'll be ready for the weekend. Great team, can play both ends in the best conference all year, the Big 12. I just can't wrap my head around them, Jules.
Yeah, Kansas is pretty good. Again, they're in that tough bracket. I wouldn't be surprised, like if they played Arkansas in the second round. Arkansas is a team well coached enough and athletic enough to beat them. That wouldn't shock me. It also wouldn't shock me if they went to the Final Four. So you're right; they have a wide range, given the bracket and the path that's in front of them. I don't really know what to do with Kansas. I'm not going to I'm not betting them laying all the points in the first round. I would be scared of them in the second round, and I'm not betting on any futures on them. So I'm probably just leaving them alone, maybe until next weekend. Purdue, I really want Memphis to beat FAU, not only because I bet Memphis to beat FAU, but because I think they are a big problem for Purdue in that second game. So I'll really be rooting for that. We saw that Penn State game. They were up 16. They had it won in the conference championship game, and they let Penn State get a possession that could have won the game at the end. They come completely undone, and it's Edey back and forth from the bench. They can't get him the ball. They're coming undone. They have freshman guards that aren't dealing with the pressure. Memphis, good veteran guards, veteran front court that can at least put a body on Edey, try and deny touches. I just like the matchup a lot. That's the type of team I was hoping Purdue would see in the second round. And I just really want Memphis to take care of FAU so that we get it.
Before we wrap up here, obviously I'll be talking to you, God willing, next Tuesday at this time. What will be the shocker headline on Tuesday when we start after the March Madness weekend?
Oh, God. Let me grab a bracket. Biggest shock. Well, that would mean Memphis could be there beating Purdue. Okay. So we could be talking about maybe the first 1 seed to go down. I think Bama and Houston get through. Maybe we're talking about how 2 1 seeds go down. If Memphis beats Purdue and Arkansas were to beat Kansas, that would be a pretty big storyline, but I'm not banking on fading Kansas. What weird team is going to make a run here? I think either Oral Roberts or Drake could have a Sweet 16 run in them as a double digit. What are they, both 12 seeds? Yeah, 12
yeah.
Seeds. I think those are one of the two 12 seeds that we're probably talking about getting through the weekend. So yeah, that's where I'm at with those.
We're live. It's Mass. Can you give us a promo? Can you tell us what to do? Anything to look forward to maybe for the start of Thursday? You talked about every day going in there, hitting the rewards button. Give us a quick refresher and lead us to the promised land, Julian.
Let me pop into the promos right now. Let's see. I don't know if I see anything right now. They had a Celtics one for the Houston game that hit. There's also a Dunkin' Donuts boost on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum points that hit. Looks like we got a college basketball no sweat bet. So I'm not sure what let me see view terms here. I don't know what the limit is on that, but opt into that and it'll tell you the limit. Bet a college basketball game. If it loses, you just get a bonus bet back in that amount. Let's see. NBA no sweat same game parlay. Again, same game parlays are hard to win. I rarely give them out on Twitter, but if you get in a no sweat where you bet $20 on it, and if it loses, you get refunded, you don't have much to lose there. Swing for the fences with it. Worst comes to worst, you get your $20 bonus bet back or whatever the price limit is on that. Looks like we're running a live boost tonight and tomorrow. If you're going to place a live wager on any of these first 4 games, opt in, 25% profit boost on it. So now you're at plus money on your minus 110s, things like that. And yeah, there's always the refer friends. That's always going to be there. If you're happy with your bonus bets, $200 from last weekend, refer friends, get up to $200 bonus bets back again. So Again, I can't keep it's not my job to set these promotions, so I can't even keep up with what we're running. But you just hit that rewards tab, hit the promos tab, you find it all every day. If you're not, that should be your first order of business. Before you look at the board, click that, see what you're getting for boosts, bonus bets, etc.
Crawler's been running the whole time at Julian Edlow, at DraftKings, at DK Sportsbook, at DK Live. And of course, go catch the podcast at the Unreasonable Odd Podcast. Julian, always a pleasure. Have a great, great week, a better weekend, and we'll catch up to you next Tuesday.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Good luck with the bracket. Good luck to all the listeners and viewers with your bracket and bets.
The one and only Julian Edlow at Julian Edlow at DraftKings. Great, great friend, great, great colleague with DraftKings. And they're up, they're live. And again, I don't have any partnership with them or the other 7 apps currently. We got some stuff working. We'll have some breaking news when that happens. But I think they've been the easiest to navigate. They offer some great, great promos on a daily basis, so we couldn't be more ecstatic there. What is happening, Connor? Thank you. Everyone watching and listening, 3 o'clock. Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk. We're going to do 2 days with him. We're got huge, big NHL slate. We're going to talk some college hoops. Also with Andrew. That's 3 o'clock. 4:30. Set the alarm. Set the dial. Bill Krackenberg. Billy Crack. Going to join us at 4:30 for a quick 15, 20 minutes. What he's doing for March Madness. And then at 5 o'clock, myself and Riley will get everyone caught up with the closing bell. So that's Andrew McGinnis at 3 o'clock. Billy Krackenberg at 4:30. Myself and Riley at 5 o'clock. Everyone have a blessed day. If you need us, holler. If you have any questions, reach out to EC Sports Invest. You can send me an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. If you're curious about our VIPs, emails, texts, for just $3 a day, that's less than a large Starbucks coffee a day delivered. You never have to leave the office. Give me a holler. Have a day, guys. We'll see you soon.